Hey my friends, welcome back to the UFD Tech Channel. Hot news is what we call this little segment. We got news for you today, so we're gonna go on in and jump on into it after I tell you about today's video sponsor, which is Displate. Dope metal prints that mount on your wall with magnets. Oh yeah, they're amazing. They got so many different designs you can check out. They have them in medium sizes, which is what this is. And especially with you being home more often, decoring your room, getting it all decorated to your fancy, looking at a gorgeous Cyberpunk metal poster while you're sitting in your room, isolating yourself from the rest of humanity for reasons that I can't mention because we'll get demonetized. Well, you can monetize us by picking up some Displates. If you use the link in the video description and use coupon code UFD at checkout, you'll save 15% off your purchase of these metal posters. They also plant trees for every Displate you buy, so it's a win, money, win, everybody happy. You look good when you're just in your room, isolated from everybody else, and then we still move on as a company. Thank you. But now it's time for today's existential question of the day, which is a bit deeper than we typically go, okay? This is gonna take some introspection, and you're gonna have to leave a comment down below. When was the last time you did something for the first time? And I'm not talking like, this is the first time I'm staying home because of other, No, don't do that, okay? Don't make it about Voldemort, okay? When was the last time you intentionally went out and did something for the first time? Okay, let's jump on into the news, which is for the first time in a long time, Nvidia is saying they are done with news. They're not talking about GTC news. This is the official report coming out of a blog post over on Nvidia, the CEO of Nvidia, Jayson stating that GTC news can wait. Previously, they canceled the in-person meeting of GTC, but they were still going to have an online keynote. And then last week, we talked about how they canceled the keynote and we're just gonna do media releases in about a week on the 24th. And they were also gonna hold an investor call. And now it seems like that is canceled as well for the foreseeable future. With the blog post reading, we have exciting products and news to share with you, but this isn't the right time. We're holding off on sharing our GTC news for now. That way, our employees, partners, the media, and analysts who follow us and our customers around the world can focus on staying safe and reducing the spread of the virus. We will still stream tons of great content from researchers and developers who have prepared great talks. This is a time to focus on your family, our friends, and our community. Our employees are working from home. Many hourly workers will not need to work, but they are all be fully paid. Stay safe, everyone. We will get through this together. So good news coming out of Nvidia. Seems like they're doing the right thing of paying everybody. They're choosing to delay the news so that everybody can focus on the priority at hand with regards to Voldemort. And that is in stark contrast to Microsoft yesterday deciding, screw everything else that's happening. Let's talk about the Xbox. Hey! And it also turns out that that's going to be Sony's position, because after they canceled their showcase at GDC, they canceled everything with E3. They tweeted out this morning, tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time, PS5 lead system architect Mark Cerny will provide a deep dive into PS5 system architecture and how it will shape the future of the games. You can watch tomorrow at PlayStation Blog. Yay! Nvidia obviously striking a more somber tone, Microsoft being like, hey! And then PlayStation being like, oh, Microsoft did something, we gotta do something to do, hey! So, I mean, at least it's keeping us entertained right now. I prefer Nvidia's approach, to be quite honest. I felt it a little out of place to be talking about the Xbox yesterday, but, you know, I guess something has to keep our minds occupied. How do you feel about it, Reece?
Nvidia just gave us anti-news.
They gave us anti-news, which is, I don't know, it just feels like it's appropriate. Speaking of news, some journalists have found that they aren't able to publish their content online due to censorship by governments, or their SD cards being removed, or people not being able to access their work in certain countries. And so they've not partnered up, this isn't like a direct partnership, but they made a library in Minecraft so that they could store sensitive journalistic documents in there, because many countries and other areas that might censor certain journalistic efforts still haven't banned Minecraft. This is a surefire way to get Minecraft banned. However, for the time being, it's not there. I'm not going to mention any of the things that are potentially listed over there because they probably will get this episode demonetized, but you can read the list at the links in the articles in the description. So in case you want to find out what's in the uncensored library, you can do that. But it's a massive effort. It took over 250 hours of development to build the library itself using 24 builders from 16 different countries, and it's made of over 12.5 million blocks. But Minecraft, more than a video game, it's apparently a refuge for journalistic artistic endeavors, which is kind of cool. Speaking of kind of cool, if you need to clean off your phone due to Voldemort or other diseases that might be potentially affecting you, Samsung is rolling out their sanitizing service if indeed these shops are still open. So if you pop into an official Samsung service center or Samsung experience store in certain countries, which is 19 countries as of right now, they will sanitize your phone for free using UVC dosing, as well as wiping a few other things off, which is kind of cool if the stores are still open, which Apple shut down their stores. I haven't seen anything about Samsung shutting down their stores, but considering nobody ever goes into those, they're not really gatherings of more than 10 people, so it should be okay. But then let's talk more about Voldemort news. CD Projekt Red came out and said that the people who are working on Cyberpunk 2077 will do so from home for the time being. However, that doesn't mean that Cyberpunk 2077's release date will get pushed back even further. They're still aiming for the September 17th release date, so you don't have to worry, but they are making sure that they're protecting their employees during this time. But that doesn't mean that The Witcher, the Netflix series, isn't going to be postponed because they've delayed production of season 2 due to concerns, because you can't film a TV show at home. However, you can do some sort of coding, or you could do remote work where people can go into the servers and do their work that way for video games. Not everything, but most things. But on top of that, speaking of games, Final Fantasy VII Remake dropped some new screenshots that you can check out in case you're hankering to play this game on April 10th, which Sony and Square Enix have not moved up the date for that, which makes me sad. But yesterday we talked about the Xbox Series X and how there was a proprietary card that should be slotting into the back of the device in order to give you really good fast SSD speeds, and that it was going to be 1 terabyte capacity. Well, it was apparently released how much that's going to cost, which should be around the $250 price point, but considering it's a PCI Express 4.0 drive, that's actually not too terrible. If you go look on Amazon right now, a Corsair MP600 of the same capacity, slightly faster without hardware compression, goes for $215. The Aorus version goes for $250, and the cheapest one I could find is $200. So Microsoft's charging $250 for this proprietary PCI Express 4.0 expansion card is not ridiculous. Anyways, let's talk about things that have had their release dates moved up, and by talking about the fact that Universal is deciding to release movies that are in the theaters at home on the same day. This is coming after certain movie theater chains such as Regal are closing down shop, and other movie theaters such as AMC are limiting people to only 50 per movies. There's several movies that should be coming out on Universal streaming sites such as The Hunt, Invisible Man, and Emma, which will cost you $20 for a 48-hour viewing window, which isn't terrible considering how much movie ticket prices cost. So $20, you get to watch it at home for 40 hours. The first premiere that will happen here is Trolls World Tour, which is exactly what I wanted to use it for. But then on top of that, there's other companies announcing that they're going to be moving up their release times for home releases, such as Warner Brothers, which is going to release Birds of Prey on March 24th. So in a week, you'll be able to watch that movie that nobody saw in theaters, and you're not going to watch it at home anyways, even if you can. But speaking of watching stuff at home and Netflix and all of that good stuff, Broadcom, who's known for making processing chips, is suing Netflix for violating some of their patents in their streaming technology. Apparently, according to everything I read, this is one of the strategies that Broadcom is using in order to stay afloat by suing many different companies such as Vizio and Sigma Designs for violating patents, but it's been shown that Broadcom isn't suing for the right reasons, and so they're not actually going through. And this is obviously coming after Apple and Broadcom were liable for violating some patents, and the US court held it up for $1 billion settlement. So they might need some money. So suing Netflix, easy way to get some, especially with Netflix numbers going up right now. Hey, speaking of going up, rockets, speaking of not going up, SpaceX rockets, because they had to abort a Falcon 9 launch the other day. However, this is not necessarily something that hasn't happened before. They've had to abort launches in the past, but this one was a little bit different because they said liftoff, and then they had to say, hold up, wait, no, sorry, no, wait, don't do that. So apparently during the final engine power check, the computer automatically shut down the power, but the operator said liftoff as it counted down to 0, but then went, disregard, we have an abort, and that it didn't take off. So first time that has happened where it was go, but don't go. But you want to go to work? But you can't, because the president said don't gather in more than groups of 10 people. However, Amazon has said that they're going to hire 100,000 workers to deal with the online shopping demand that's happening right now since everybody's at home and not heading out to retail stores. And they also are saying they're going to do a temporary wage increase of an extra $2 per hour until the end of April. But the 100,000 workers will be in the warehouse, in delivery, and we'll see if this actually happens. It's kind of sad that the pay increase is only temporary and they're not just going to do that, but Amazon is saying that this is going to be a $350 million investment over the next 2 months. Let me know, are you shopping more on Amazon now than you were before due to the fact that you're staying home more? I want to hear from you. Let me know your situation down below in the comments. But speaking of shopping, and we talked about yesterday about Apple closing down all of their stores, well, as I mentioned, there's some indication that the iPhone SE 2 will still be announced this week alongside a new iPad Pro, as well as a few other things coming out from Apple. So they're going to announcement. I also read that there's some analyst hypothesis going on out there that Apple might buy Disney, because with the cash that they have on hand and the dip in Disney's stock shares due to the market crash, Apple would be able to buy Disney outright right now. I didn't find much substantiation to that rumor. I'm just bringing it up for your enjoyment. Speaking of your enjoyment, do you like eating food? Well, it's a little hard to come by considering restaurants aren't places where you can go and gather right now, but Uber Eats is waiving the delivery fees on over 100,000 independent restaurants on their app, and then on top of that, they're committed to delivering 300,000 free meals on Uber Eats to first responders and healthcare workers in the US and Canada. And then on top of that, they're going to be paying out to Uber Eats restaurants on a daily basis instead of weekly, so that they're able to stay afloat more easily. So Uber Eats making some really good moves as far as trying to help both the restaurants and customers be able to utilize their services more. And then on top of that, we talked about how Uber had a plan and a fund set up to pay drivers who weren't able to drive for them due to Voldemort and whether or not they got infected. And they finally unveiled what that plan is. They are going to pay them for 14 days financial assistance if they are unable to drive due to Voldemort. And the way they're going to do that is by averaging out their pay over the last 6 months. And if they haven't driven in the last 6 months, they'll average the earnings from their start date to March 6th. So if they don't have 6 months of driving on record, so that means that they'll pay them pretty decently. So it'll be an average amount, which is, I'm okay with this. Lyft also said that they have a plan coming, but they haven't announced what it is. But then on top of that, Mint Mobile, which is a mobile phone service that Ryan Reynolds is heavily involved in, they've announced that customers can get 3 gigabytes of mobile data for free up until April 14th. But speaking not about Voldemort for a second, Apple is being sued by French antitrust regulators for $1.3 billion, which we just talked about them buying Disney with cash on hand. $1.3 billion, even if they have to pay the full amount, will not be anything. Anyways, this is coming due to price fixing between Apple and some distributors within the country. France is saying that Apple manipulated the market illegally and that they need to pay up for it for their anti-competitive practices. And then lastly, let's talk about something that will be happening in 2 hours from the time that this episode of Hot News airs, which is the Dropkick Murphys, which is a band that's heavily associated with Boston and St. Patrick's Day. They will be playing a show for St. Patrick's Day with no audience, completely live streamed. You can check out the links in the video description if you want to watch the Dropkick Murphys streaming up from Boston. Free live streamed concert tonight, which is good for St. Patrick's Day. Encourages you to stay home, but still get Dropkick Murphys music. There you go. Check it out at the link in the video description. And that's going to be where we end it, my friends. Don't forget about the existential question of the day. When was the last time you did something for the first time? And if you can't remember, maybe I can encourage you in this trying season, do something for the first time. Read a new book, start a new hobby, encourage yourself to do something brand new, but do it safely, obviously. Stay safe distances. Don't. Also, don't forget to check out our sponsor, Displate. You can pick up Cyberpunk metal prints. They're amazing. They mount on the wall with magnets that come down easily in case you have to move. Anyways, they're amazing. Check them out at the link in the video description. You're amazing. I'm going to stop saying amazing, and I'm going to be gone. Goodbye. You moved to America,
Yeah,
so that's easy for you.
I felt like that was too big of a one. Like it was too easy.